Welcome back to the Almost Athletic Podcast. We're 8 episodes in, and we've got a stocked agenda today. Talk a little bit of triathlon, a little bit of NBA. I'm Joseph, here with Sumner. Sumner, how are you doing on this fine Sunday afternoon?
Top of the afternoon to you, brother. It's good to see you again. I feel like this has become a good tradition. I enjoy doing this, so I'm happy we're keeping it going.
Me too. This is kind of where me and you get to connect and talk about what we did throughout the week. In case we don't text or call much throughout, we'll update
Yeah, that was
from the both of us.
one of the goals actually. Probably one of the what do you call it? The foundational, missions of this podcast was to really stay in touch. So, and as you're in Knoxville, we text quite a bit, but it's more, quick stuff or kind of, messing with each other. But this was kind of the whole goal in the first place was to stay in touch. So yeah, I feel like this has been fun.
Definitely. You know what I also like seeing nowadays are those Strava posts. Every morning and every evening, I see you logging in. I'm sure you see me logging in.
I do.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it. So do you have my brother has my notifications turned on so that whenever I log an activity, he's like literally gives me kudos within like the first 30 seconds of me
Really?
like it being on there. Yeah, it's quick some days.
That's funny. No, I don't think I have post notifications turned on for anyone. Maybe I should do that so I can be the first like and beat him to it every single day.
What you should do is turn on post notifications for him.
Ooh, I like that.
Just like, we get him back,
He may start getting kind of creeped out. Like, why is he just always on Strava?
Yeah. Well, speaking of Strava, do you want to kick us off with the training update?
Yeah, I'll go right into it. This one was not as gritty of a week as last week. As I mentioned in last week's podcast, I feel a whole lot better in terms of my health. Body is still sore, especially my hips, man. My hips have been on fire during my runs, but they're loosening up. My hips aren't lying. Shakira. But they're loosening up. They're getting better. And this week it was a lot of volume this week. 14 and a half hours overall. It's the most I've ever done ever.
That's a lot.
But we're getting kind of in the groove of it. Anyways, I'll go over the splits. I ran 24 miles, almost 4 hours worth. My swim, 8,700 yards. Holy. That's the first time I've ever cracked eight. It's the first time I've ever cracked 8,000 yards in the pool. How many laps is that? Let's do the math.
I'll do the math real quick while you keep going. I'll do the math.
All right.
25 yard pool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then on the bike in the saddle, just under 136 miles. That's a little over 8 hours on the bike, which 3 of those hours were out in the wild. 5 of those hours were staring at Zwift and a computer screen and watching movies. But it was fun. It was a good week. Glad I got through it. I have a little bit of a rest week, a down week next week, which is really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my week. On the bike, speaking of those 5 hours I spent on the computer screen, I got back on Netflix a little bit. And I don't know if you've seen this, Will Ferrell has some movies back on Netflix. And I watched Talladega Nights. I rewatched Talladega Nights.
Dude,
great movie.
Classic.
Great movie. Good distractor when you're when you're laying down some watts and they're saying shake and bake.
Shake and bake, baby. So you said you did 8,600 yards in the pool? 8,700. All right, hang on one second. 8,700
that's
divided
adding
by
4.
So that's 348 yards. Or laps, excuse me, 348 laps.
That's crazy. During a half Ironman training, sometimes I would have 2,500 yard swims, and I would always think, I have to go back and forth 100 times today.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just crazy long. And I know, I mean, it is long, but it's only going to go up for me now.
Do you
which is
think
kind of
do
crazy
you
to think
think that
about.
a 50-yard pool or like a 100-yard pool would be better or worse?
Worse for the kicks. I hate
But yeah,
kicks and the kickboard. But that's a great question. Sometimes I think about that. There's only been a handful of times where I've gone to the pool and they've had it long ways, so it'd be 50 meters
yeah,
or yards. What I don't even know if it would be 50
yeah,
yards or meters. But I thought it was fine. I It's less turns and I don't do flip turns, so those definitely take some time off my average pace. And
yeah,
so if it was a 50-yard pool, it might be better. Probably a little bit more tiring, so you don't get that slight
yeah,
reprieve once you get to the end of the pool.
yeah, for sure. I do not kick turn as well, so I also like the quick breath, the full breath you get at the end of each lap.
And I've practiced twice I've gone up to Esporta solely with the intent to practice a flip turn, and I've left with scrapes on my back from scraping the bottom of the ground of the
Yeah,
pool. I can't. Someone just needs to teach me. I can't do it based off videos,
yeah.
but it's not. I guess it's
It's
not
yeah,
that
that
big of
pool
a
might not
deal.
be deep enough for them. Yeah. Well, I understand that you have got some new gear for the bike. If you wanna share.
Yes, first time ever wearing these. I've been very reluctant to purchase these, but they are bib shorts. And what these are, they are bike shorts that have suspenders essentially built in. So the goal is so they don't fall down your crack like a plumber's crack, I guess.
Yeah.
And I wore them today for the first time ever. And I wouldn't say I'm all in, but I didn't hate them. I kind of
Nice.
forgot. I kind of forgot that I was wearing there's a slight pressure on your shoulder when you're wearing them. But once I got about an hour in, I forgot about it. A few things. I wish the suspenders were a little longer. They kind of
Yeah.
ride up in the front a little bit, but I think once they get kind of broken in, it'll be nicer. But I was a fan. They're nice. They're Castelli. I got them on sale for $40, or
Whoa.
they were 140, and I got them for 85. So that's why I got
Yeah,
them.
so what, like
Crazy,
yeah.
crazy deal.
Yeah, it's like
And
almost 50% off.
yeah, quick math. CPA, what is it? I don't know. Yeah, but a
Like
lot of dollars
yeah.
off. So I figured no better time than now to try them out because I've needed a new pair of biking shorts. Because truth
Yeah.
be told, there's been a few days in a row where I've had some bikes and I haven't washed them, and they get a little crusty. But so it was time for a new pair, and I got them, and I liked them. So now I have two to rotate between: a pair of normal shorts and a pair of bib shorts.
Nice.
But yeah, I would
I
recommend
uh
them.
I definitely do not wash in between bike rides. I mean, it's just I'd be doing laundry every other day, so I don't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, cool. Congrats on the new purchase. Castelli's a good brand. I've heard raving reviews about it, and a lot of people have them. So you're part of
That's
the
what I
what's
hear.
the little logo? It's like a scorpion.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, I guess I'll update the people. Let's see. So bit of a lighter week. I think you doubled my time in hours. Mine's 7.5 hours spent.
There we go.
So, but
That's a lot of
that is
hours.
the well, that is the point. You're doing a full. I'm doing a half Ironman. So I think it's only right that I'm doing half of the work, not half of the
It
work,
only
but
makes
half of the load. Yeah, I
it
mean that
only
kind
makes
of is
sense.
kind of the whole point. Yeah. So anyway, oh, actually, shout out here. Just looked on Strava, and the guy that I sold my bike to, I guess I should say kid. He's like 20, I think. He got in a 20-mile ride today.
Hey,
So shout out to the purchaser of my bike. We're Strava friends. Anyway, so 7.5 hours, 9 activities. Um, total distance being 90 miles. Run this week was again 13.5 miles. Would have been 20.5, but I skipped Saturday for a reason that I'll explain. Ride would be 73 miles total. Swim 4,200 yards total, and that would probably be another extra, but I'll explain. So mentioned last week we were gonna have a big swim week this week, but due to thunderstorms, possible thunderstorms in the Memphis area, Shelby Farms decided to cancel the open water swim, which was highly disappointing because it barely even rained Thursday evening. So got the wetsuit all out and ready to go, and even patched it up. So I had a little fingernail cut kind of in the back shoulder of my wetsuit, and it was kind of fun because I ordered this like neoprene glue, and it actually works really well. So you put like the first layer, a little coat down, and like kind of spread it out with a little paper clip. Let that set open for 10 minutes. Then once that is like kind of sticky, you do one more like small layer, spread that out again, and then like after 4 or 5 minutes, you fold the wetsuit into the cut, like where it's was originally, and then it like almost immediately is like you can like pull on it and it's fine. So wetsuits repaired, back functional, which was cool.
Well, that's interesting. Would you, and I know you have a Roka wetsuit, a pretty high dollar Roka wetsuit. Would you
Yeah.
recommend their wetsuits? Because I know whenever you got your
Yeah.
first one, you've been through a
I
few. If you want to
had bad
explain that.
experiences. So the first wetsuit that I got from Roka, and let me just put an advisory out there. I do not have long fingernails. I have a bad habit of picking my fingernails, so not sure where these cuts are coming from. It's definitely not my short fingernails. And so first wetsuit that I got out of the box had a little fingernail gouge on the shoulder right here. And so called up Roka, and this is not maybe it is an indictment on Roka because this is the second one that I've had. But almost immediately got another one shipped to me. So I did a race in the one that had the little cut on it, then sent it back. So I had a brand new wetsuit for 4 months before I even used it. And then got 2 open water swims in it before the half Ironman. And then like the day after that half Ironman, I'm looking at my wetsuit and I have another like the exact same hole in the shoulder. And on their warranty, since I've had it for so long, I was going to look up and see if I could send it back, but it was like the warranty does not cover like fingernail gouges. And I was like, of course it doesn't. And so I decided to fix it. As far as whether or not I would recommend Roka wetsuits, I've never tried another one. But my wetsuit is like extremely buoyant, and I need that because I'm a heavier set guy.
You're not a heavier
I think
set.
I'm like 190. You're like what, 175?
Yeah, 170 recently. I lost a few pounds.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'll
5'10",
probably be
5'11", 170.
yeah. See, I guess I'm a little bit taller than you, so I guess maybe that adds the extra couple pounds. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I would recommend Roka. They're a good brand and they have good customer service, but I have been frustrated with the amount of times that I'm having to. It's more than you should, So
Definitely.
because I
Speaking of Roka,
see videos of people pulling their
give me
wetsuit on full on fingernails like that, and Joseph's got to get out. He's got to get out of frame for a second, so I'm gonna hold down the fort here. But yeah, like literally, I've seen people like pulling their wetsuit on with full on fingernail attached to it, and they don't have any cuts. So I'm not sure where mine are coming from because it's like on the back. Like you can't make a fingernail indentation. Oh, nice.
Speaking of Roka, I like Roka. I pretty much exclusively use their goggles, even though I ordered some new ones this week. We can talk about this next week, but I got some new goggles from a different brand coming in. But these are the sunglasses I wear on my bike rides. Got them for Christmas. They are super nice, and they are way better than all I had to do for these ones is pay for shipping, and they cannot be the worst. They cannot be worse. They may look the part, but they are so bad. I mean, I can't even hardly see you right now, Sumner. You're so
I know.
blurry.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah, the
like
Roka
Roka
ones are
stuff.
sweet.
But I don't have one of their wetsuits.
You're speaking of your wetsuit, you have an Xterra wetsuit, and my brother actually just got the same wetsuit that you got. So shout out to him for really getting the coolest piece of gear that outside of, I guess, maybe your bike, but sometimes bikes aren't that cool. So wetsuit's like the piece of gear that like is like kind of rare, like not everyone has like a race wetsuit. And like everyone kind of has a bike and is familiar with a bike, like whether it's a road bike or it's not, everyone's had a bike before. And so, when you get the wetsuit, you're kind of like, okay, this is like kind of sweet. So shout out to getting your first wetsuit.
Out of curiosity, do you know what size he got?
Yes, actually I did, because I picked it out for him because it was a surprise little present for him. He got a large, and it's kind of funny because he's a super like his his extremities are really long. He's like 6'4",
Uh-huh.
and so he is a size large as far as their chart goes. And anyway, so like usually on mine, the arms I kind of have to like pull up a little bit, and there's a little bit of a like scrunch, as I'm sure kind of yours is too.
Uh-huh.
His is like it's like stops at like above his watch. And then the feet,
Yeah.
it's like he has to pull it all the way up, and there's like it kind of goes down to like his upper Achilles / like lower calf maybe. And so he's got like an extra like
It looks like capris.
yeah, like it doesn't go all the way to his ankle, which is hilarious. So but like he went on the website, and if he were to go up a size, he would like it's too much of a gap. Like he's solely in the large, so at first he was kind
Yeah.
of saying it was too tight, but my wetsuit was too tight when I first got it. Like you have to wear it 1 or 2 times before it gets
Yeah.
kind of
Get some water, run some water through there. It loosens up in the water.
yeah, it does. So yeah, man, it was cool he's doing the sprint triathlon in a couple weeks, so I'm doing it too. But it's his first triathlon, so it's kind of cool it's always good to have a wetsuit for a triathlon. So shout out Bake.
Definitely. That'll be fun. I'm excited for him.
Yeah, I'll explain a little bit as to I had 2 kind of interesting training debacles this week. So Tuesday night, I had to get a new trainer for my bike because my old trainer was not compatible with my new bike. And so in order to do that, I had to call around to several different shops in this Memphis area. Went to actually a Trek bicycle, store to get it, and got the all the the kicker core, the cassette that goes on it. So that was nice. And then took it home, and the build process was much more extensive than I thought it was going to be. I thought it came with its own cassette. First of all, it did not. So I had to get the cassette that matched my bike. And when I was putting it on, like there's like a little thing that you just like slide off the cassette onto the cassette post thing on the trainer. I didn't realize that the cassette things weren't just like screwed together already. Like you can pretty much like each gear kind of comes off and it's individually. So anyway, I had to put like all of them on, and then like the little bolt that holds it together, you have to have a certain style of wrench for, which I did not have. And so
Naturally.
yeah, because like I'm still, as many races as I'll do, I'll always be a bike rookie. Like it seems it's too much there for me. You'll never catch up. And so I took it to a friend of mine's house who has the trainer and bike that or not different bikes, same style. So he has the same trainer and whatnot. And so he had the wrench. So I went over there, cranked it on, got that good to go. So that at that point it had been about 2 hours of setup. And so then took it back to the house, started to put my bike on it, which is, a little bit difficult. You have to take your wheel off, pull the cassette or pull the rear derailleur off, keep the chain on, then loop the chain over the new cassette and, put it on that way. And then line up the through axle to put your bolt back in. And so after doing that, I get on to start my ride, and everything seems to be going well until erg mode kicks in. And for those of you who don't know, erg mode is a Zwift / Wahoo trainer thing that makes it harder to pedal when you're biking on Zwift. And so that turned on, and I was like, wow, this seems like a lot more difficult. And my shifting was very shocking. Like it was like boom, 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 like not like smooth how it is on the wheel. And so I was like, okay, this is new. So I just decided to like try to stay in as normal gear as possible, like as one gear as long as I could. Like whether I had to spin it fast or whatever, I was like, I'm just gonna try to get through this workout. And I got to the point in the workout where like I had to switch gears. And like when I was doing it, it just felt like everything kind of fell off. And so for cautionary sake, I decided to end the workout about 10 or 12 minutes early. Maybe I can't remember. Anyway, it was at 40 something minutes, and it was an hour bike, and so it had been a long night. It was like 9:30 at this point. I was like, I'm just tired. I'm pissed off, and I want to go to bed. And I was just drenched in sweat, like pouring sweat, dude. And anyway, so got all that done, and I was like, I'm just gonna take my bike tomorrow to the shop, just and the trainer, just to like see how to set this thing up, because I just don't think I'm doing it right. And anyway, so take it to the trainer the next day, and I'm like, I just don't think I'm doing this correctly. And so they I put it on there how I did or whatever, and they showed me there's like this little bolt slash like adjustment tool thing on the back of the rear derailleur, and you just like turn it just a little bit, and it takes off some tension of the chain, and it makes it smooth. It's like it's for like changing like to basically like a trainer. And so now it shifts like butter on there. And so it's still pretty difficult. Like that erg mode is harder than the wheel on trainer, because I feel like it changes every time, because you're never going to get the same tightening down of the on the wheel lock trainer versus the cassette trainer. You're getting like the exact same thing as like a bike. And so that's been taking some getting used to, but I did a 2-hour bike ride this morning on it. And that was tough. My legs are just like, they're dead after I ride, and it's so much I sweat so much more on the new trainer. So that was cool. And then so that
Do
was
you
an
have a fan?
interesting
Do you have
week.
a fan set up?
Yeah, I do now. I usually just had on an overhead fan on the wheel lock trainer, but now I have like a full on fan in the face. Like I had to kind of make a new spot
Yeah,
to put my trainer, because it's always gonna be on the trainer unless I'm going for an outdoor ride. Like I'm not gonna just take it off, take it on, take it off, put
yeah,
it back on. It's too much of a hassle. Like I'm just gonna
yeah,
leave it on. So I've got it there with my mini fridge on front with that I can set my computer on, and then like directly to the right of that's a TV, and then I have the fan in front of the computer. So it's a good little setup.
yeah,
I'm looking forward to keep riding on it, because I think I'm gonna get way stronger on the new trainer than I would the old one. At least consistently, good workouts. Not that you don't have consistent workouts. I know you crank that thing all the way down. So
yeah. Yeah, I'm jealous that you can have a permanent setup.
yeah,
Mine, I've looked into the kicker core recently. One, to just get accurate power readings, because mine does not give accurate power readings. But taking the wheel on and off would just be such a hassle, because I have to, like, I put mine on and take it off the trainer every time I ride, just because it's
yeah,
in the middle of my bedroom.
yeah,
But yeah, something to look into for me. But I will say the fan setup is essential. I
yes,
have the big like tower fan that's blowing right now, and it's normally kind of opposite my bed and opposite my desk. But whenever I ride, I put it on top of my desk and just face it right at me, like right beside my computer, and I face it right at me
yeah,
and blow it at 5 speed.
yeah.
Gotta have it, or else I'm just sweating buckets right on the floor, which I do put towels down underneath me. But
I
it's
don't
kind of a
drip
hassle
sweat
for me.
like you do.
Just yeah, I definitely drip
Yeah.
sweat a lot.
I think it's because you have longer hair than me, even though I think you just got a haircut. But like, I think your hair coming out the back, my hair is so straight that like it doesn't really drip. Um, but anyway, and then Saturday, I gotta tell you why I replaced my workout Saturday. So I've recently gotten into hunting, and so one of my friends asked me to go hunt again, and so I was like, yeah, I'm down. And so I was like, I can run after. Saturday was a full day for me. I'll kind of walk through it. So anyway, I was like, if I go turkey hunt, I can turkey hunt and then just run in the afternoon. And so I got up at 4, get out there, we're hunting. And like the first hour, I was just kind of sitting there, and I was like, this is great. Like I'm just kind of rest and run later. And anyway, then like after an hour, my friend texted me. He's like, hey, come meet me up here. He had kind of gone to do a little recon. He was like, just move slowly and come meet me up here. So anyway, I get to him, and he's like, there's like 2 turkey like right here. Like we're gonna crawl up to him. I didn't know the turkey hunting was this involved. I knew it was pretty difficult, but I didn't know it was this hard. Literally like gun like in hand, army crawling. Like I mean like 50 to 60 like yards. Like it was a long time. And then we got there, and then the turkeys ran away. So then we had to do it all the way back. And it was at this point it was 65, 70 degrees, so it was pretty hot. I'm pouring sweat. Then we walked, and mind you, it already is like a mile walk or half a mile walk to get to where we hunt. So then we walk back, and we get about halfway back to the truck, and we see 2 turkeys. Again, we're like, well, now we have to go back. So we sprint in boots, like boots that are not easy to walk in, around, and we are hiking up this there's a creek that we were in to go faster. So we get in this creek and we're walking, and we have to walk up the creek bed thing. And then we crawl again, dude, all the way to these turkeys, and we don't shoot them, nothing. They walked back this way, so we drop back and we crawl all the way back. And I'm like, at this point, I'm ready to go home. I was like, this is horrible. And anyway, so we just finished. We went back to the truck, walked all the way back, and I was like, okay, that was a huge workout. My legs are so tired, and just me physically tired. And then from there, it was 11:15. Had to immediately get home. It's a 40-minute drive home. Shower, change, go to a wedding couples shower. That lasted from 1 o'clock to 3:30 or 4. From 3:30 from there, I went and had to hang my girlfriend's drapes and curtain rods, and that took about an hour and a half. And then from there, that point, it was 6, and I was starving because I hadn't eaten really all day. I ate a little bit at this couple shower, had to go eat, and then at that point it was dark, and I was like, you know what? I'm counting the turkey hunt, the 4-hour turkey marathon, as my Saturday long run. I had to have been in zone 2 the entire time.
Pull the heart rate data, zone
Dude,
2.
I know. I actually thought about starting a morning walk workout, but it literally would have been 4 hours long.
Yeah. So the seems like the turkeys are just toying with you.
Dude, they are shapeshifters.
Whenever you were bear crawling and whenever y'all got done, did your friend say to you, "Look up, Brock, you're in the end zone"?
Look up, Brock, you're in the end zone. Dude, I wish. That would have been awesome.
Do you know what movie? You know what I'm referring to?
Dude, I can quote that whole movie. Now, David, you got to change your whole kicking philosophy. See, you kick it wide left and wide right, but that ain't what's gonna get you home. The ball has got to go through the middle. That's a great movie.
Oh, that's a good movie. Whenever you're talking about bear crawling, that's what it reminded me of. Made me laugh.
All right, well,
The turkeys are the coach.
We need to hustle things along here. We're already at almost 30 minutes. I say we'll do a business meeting here with the people. I say we skip the sports segment, and we'll just go with triathlon tips and then the burning question, and then we'll be done. Is that cool?
I like it. It's full triathlon episode solely for triathletes.
Only triathletes.
No other sports today.
Turkey hunters. All right. I'll go first with my tips. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna do top 5 triathlon tips that we have learned in our short stint as being triathlon folk and racer folk. All right. So we'll start from the 5th one and go to the number 1.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So my honorable mention is squirrel's nut butter and earplugs. For those of you who don't know, squirrel's nut butter is chafing butter that is just highly necessary for all the correct reasons. And then earplugs for those that have inner ear issues like myself. Very key to not get water in your ears every time you swim. So that's my honorable mention. All right, number 5, input your swim workouts into your Garmin. That is huge. So you can go on the app, set all of your workouts, and then sync it to your watch, and then it shows you on your watch what to do when you're in the pool with the touch of a button. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a game changer. I do everything. I even do the rest period just so.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't, I know it would say I have a 15-second rest. Programming it into your watch just takes the thought out of it. You don't have to look at your watch. You just go when it beeps, and it just it's all the thinking out of it, and all the internal negotiation too. Once that beeps, your timer starts, so you better go, or else your average pace is going to be off.
Yeah, for sure.
So you better go. But in addition to that, swim workouts, crucial, and routes. I do it for bike routes. Like I did a new route last weekend. I know I said I drove it first, but then when I actually went out there on my bike, I was using solely, I mean, I couldn't memorize every
Right.
turn. So I was going solely based off my GPS, and it works like a charm. It's super nice, and that's an awesome feature that I've come across that Garmin has that
Yeah.
I use very frequently.
Yeah. I mean, the Garmin Connect app, have everything you can to make your life easier. That's kind of the end all be all. So moving on, we'll do my number 4 is use YouTube to your advantage to learn. I think that's a good one just because you can literally find everything on YouTube. Like even still, when I was putting together that bike trainer, I was using YouTube. So as far as, you know, fueling and like, you know, what to diet and then all the way into like all the gear that you might need, motivation, even as far as like watching someone else do like a workout gets you hype up to do another workout. I'm sure, I know Joseph and I have definitely done that to get fired up before. So use YouTube to your advantage. Number 3, this is kind of an interesting one. Prep your like protein for your meals on days that you only have one workout or have an easier day. Because when you have a day where you're like, you know, have 2 workouts, food kind of just becomes what's convenient. And so prep some sort of protein on an off day or easy day, so that you can use it throughout the week. Number 2, buy an indoor bike trainer. Simply impossible to train like fully without one. You can always ride outside, but it's either going to be cold or windy or raining or snowing some days. So not it,
Or
not,
rush hour
yeah,
traffic or cars or
yeah,
anything like
yeah.
that.
Definitely helps the safe option to be on a trainer. And also it's just like it's just easier. Like it's even if it's sunny and 75 outside, it's a lot of times it's easier just to do it inside if you only are doing an hour bike ride. It's easier. You'll spend almost the same amount of time getting ready for that bike ride as you will actually riding. So, and then lastly, number 1, get fit to your bike. It is worth the money and the comfort to get fit, even if the bike is not fit, you know, exactly to you, and you bought it off Facebook Marketplace. They can get it, you know, pretty close every time. So get fit, spend the $150. It's worth it. So that's all I got for my top 5 tips.
I like those tips. I'm trying to think which one was my favorite. I'm definitely a big proponent of meal prepping. I usually, whenever I cook dinner, I'll make enough for additional meals, usually just one meal and maybe like a snack
Yeah.
to munch on later. But I definitely think out my meals ahead of time. And now that I'm training more, that Kroger bill is just keep on going
Yes,
up,
sir.
trying to get my calories
Got
in.
to.
So definitely taking the time ahead of time to think about what I'm going to eat throughout the
Yeah.
week is huge for me. All right, I like those tips. I'll go into my 5 tips. Mine are in no particular order. I don't have an honorable mention. I would say all of mine, yeah, are weighted about equally. But going off what you said about spending the money, getting your bike fit and
Yeah.
all that, obviously, I'm a college student. I don't have a lot of money coming in right now, but something that I've struggled with in the past is not spending money on stuff that I need. For example, before the last 70.3 I did, the Memphis one that Sumner did also, I kept on having chain issues. My chain kept dropping, and I would bring it in and they would fix it. And it would basically just be a band-aid over the problem. Come to realize later, they would fix it, it would work well, and then it would happen again. Well, on race day, well, actually backing up even further, when it would happen, I would get stranded because my chain would get lodged in between my drivetrain and the frame of
Yeah.
the bike. And so you can't fix that without undoing the whole drivetrain. So I'd bring it in and they'd fix it. And it happened, I think, twice before leading up to the race. And they would fix it and it would be fine, quote unquote. Well, sure enough, in the race, I get about 40 miles in and have to switch from the big gear to the small gear, and my chain drops and my heart just sinks. I'm thinking I spent all this money on the race, all this time training, and I'm about to get stranded here. Thankfully, my chain did not get stuck. I was able to rip it out and just put it back on the drivetrain. Well, to finish the race, I didn't switch out of gear from the big gear the rest of the
Probably
time,
made
which
you a little
sucked.
faster.
But I got through the race. It made me more tired, is what it did. Made my legs. I had to put out more power. But anyways, I say all that to say, I should have brought it in and gotten my gears redone, complete overhaul. But I was just putting a Band-Aid on the problem because I didn't want to spend the money. But some things, in order for you to meet your goals, you have to spend money, and that's just the nature of the sport, which sucks, but it makes race day fun and enjoyable, and you get to actually accomplish your goals. So be smart, buy used stuff if you can, when it's necessary and worth it, but spend money to give you peace of mind on race day. So that's probably my biggest tip, and that may be actually the most important. These other ones are kind of race specific little hacks I've used in my races. I don't know who told me this one, but I've used it every race. I bring a 5-gallon bucket to every race for this transition area. For the sole purpose of, in transition, I'm able to sit down on that bucket and change my shoes, and it's way more comfortable and easier than sitting on the ground and doing it. Taking off my my wetsuit, it's way easier doing that sitting down than on the floor rolling around in the wet, soggy grass and getting mud everywhere. I don't know who told me that, but I appreciate it. And then also, whenever you leave or go to the race, you can just stuff all your dirty equipment in there. Another pretty race specific tip: leaving when you get out of the swim, sometimes it's natural you just want to take your goggles off. Well, I also don't know who told me this one, but instead of taking your goggles off completely, slightly raise them over your swim cap. That way you don't have them in your hand when you're trying to take off your wetsuit. You can just slightly raise them so you can see normal, but then you can start ripping your wetsuit off, and you don't have your goggles in your hand taking up space. That's a little
good tip.
Race-specific tip. And something I do every single night before I have a big bike workout, and something I hate doing in the morning when I'm tired, is I get my water bottles and I fill them up with ice and I put them in the freezer the night before. I think you may have mentioned this on the podcast before, but it is so nice waking up in the morning knowing all you got to do is fill those up with water, maybe throw in a scoop of G1M and get rolling. Because for me, like I said earlier, I've got so much to set up on my bike setup. I've got to move my fan, put my bike on the trainer, crank it down, get Zwift started up, make sure my headphones connect to my computer, which sometimes they don't, and I have to restart. All these little frustrating things that can happen. Getting the ice and the water bottles the night before, game changer.
Couldn't agree more. That's a huge one.
Lastly, yes. And lastly, on race day, to give yourself even more peace of mind, trust your training. I love the phrase, the hay is in the barn. Sometimes I struggle with it, knowing that there's nothing more I can do than just go out there and give my best effort. But on race day, that's all you can do. Right. And you just got to have fun with it. You got to trust what you've done. What you've put in for the past few months leading up to the race, and just give it your all. So those are my 5 top tips that I abide by. That's not an exhaustive list. I could probably come up with 100 more, but those are the ones I frequent the most. We'll probably
update this list every once in a while, honestly.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
definitely. I mean, I could definitely come up with a few more.
Yeah, definitely. My favorite of yours, outside of the don't be afraid to spend the money part, like that's just essential. If it's gonna give you any sort of peace on race day, well, even if it's like, okay, I just don't like the shoes that I'm wearing and I need to get another pair, just to let me not be stressed and be comfortable, like spend the money. And then the lift the goggles. I actually looked my first triathlon. I took my I went and looked at the pictures, and I remember haven't seen a video of me trying to get the little flap that covers the zipper on your wetsuit? Remember seeing a video of me trying to get that off and it taking like a cup, like me having to do both hands? And so I went to look to see if I took my goggles off, and I did take my goggles all the way off. And then I scrolled down at the pictures of
There
me
you
running
go.
through transition in the half Ironman. Guess where my goggles were?
Were they in
They
your
were on the
hand?
forehead. I learned
Or they
on the
they're on
forehead. From one
there you
triathlon to
go.
the second triathlon, I learned that that is a key. And I don't.
It's such a
Yeah,
little thing. It's such a little thing, but it's so much nicer having free
yeah,
hands.
yeah. It's totally true. I'm glad that I learned at least something as far as transition, because I think my T1 in my first triathlon was like 12 minutes, and then the Ironman one was like 7. It's like, what was I doing? You know, I think the Ironman one was like 7.
Yeah, what are you doing
Yeah,
for 12 minutes in
half the
transition area?
Ironman transition was running from the swim water to the transition area. It took like 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
True. Definitely a long
Speaking
little
of
hike there.
the transition run, though, the transition run in Wisconsin Ironman looks pretty sick. It's up a spiral garage, like a parking garage. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I think the transition area is in like a parking
Yeah,
garage
yeah.
technically.
Looking forward to that. Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
All right, cool. Well,
Me
yeah,
too.
that's gonna be fun, dude. All right, we'll go to that was good. That was a good segment, I think. What do you think?
I think so too. I like talking training. I can
Me
talk
too.
about it all day.
That's why we're here. Anyway, all right. The burning question for this week. We'll just do one of these. And we'll table one for next week. Which I'm trying to figure out which one to watch. Yeah, all right. What is the best sport to watch on TV? And then what is the best sport to watch in person? Joseph,
Cricket.
kick us off. No, it's not.
Best sport to watch in person. This is one that I wish I could say I've watched in person, which is UFC. I've never seen it. I would imagine that would be awesome though, but I
Good
can't
call.
say that one because I've never seen
Good
it.
call. That's all.
The next closest thing to UFC in terms of team sport, hockey. I have been to hockey games, not an NHL game, but here in Knox Vegas, they have the Knoxville Ice Bears. Been to about 3 or 4 games of them, one of which I was ringside so I could slam the ring, and that was awesome. Those guys just don't care at all and will ice full speed into someone else, and it's
For the
awesome.
love of the game.
Um, it's not hockey is not my favorite sport. Some people try and be trendy and say it is. It's not, but it's fun to watch in person because they just smack each other.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll answer the next thing you asked on TV. What's the best sport to watch on TV? And that is college football. And college football in person is definitely awesome. It's part of the reason why I went to Tennessee, Neyland
Nothing
Stadium.
better.
And so that's up there for the running. That's up there in the running for in person. But the best sport to watch on TV is awesome because the commentators do a great job of breaking down. You can see plays multiple times from multiple different angles. And you just can't beat that. Also, football, the best sport of all time. IMHO.
It is the best sport, honestly. The UFC was a good pool. That would be awesome to go to, and it'd probably unseat my in person. In person for me would be college football. The reason that it's not my favorite sport to watch on TV has to do with the amount of commercials. If they could just shore that part up, it would be the best sport to watch. But I think watching it in person is way better than watching it on TV. Therefore, that's why I'm putting it in my best sport to watch in person. There's just something about a college football game. And NFL, say what you want, yeah, it's fine. But like, I went to my first NFL football game this past year, and I gotta say, like, the fans at these NFL games are just a bunch of nerds. Like, they're so weird. Like, it's just not cool. Like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So college football is the best one to watch in person, in person on TV. And I'm going to be very specific. NBA basketball is not the best to watch in the regular season, but NBA playoff basketball, there's nothing better, I think, to watch on TV. It's fast. There's always something going on every possession. Everybody's playing hard. wants to win every game. Defense is being played, and being played hard, I will say. And then the commercials aren't horrible. Like, they're usually pretty fast because they can't sit down forever and just sit there. But the game's a little bit shorter, so that's probably why I don't notice the commercials as much. But yeah, NBA playoff basketball is my favorite to watch. As you know, the playoffs have started the last couple days, so I've been tuned into several games. So looking forward to this. April is fun because it's NBA basketball. April and May. So anyway, that's what I got.
Definitely. And you said you've been tuning into NBA games. I have not. But since it's playoff season, your favorite sport to watch on TV, I will start tuning in. And we skipped a few segments today, which were primarily over the NBA playoff picture. But next week, we're tabling it to next
Yes.
week. And we'll have some more insight on who we think is going to win it all. A little dark horse action, similar to what we did for March Madness. Who we think is going to win it all? Dark horse, favorite teams. We'll get into that next week.
Let's do one to close this out. A quick shout out to Scotty Scheffler. Maybe the next. People are saying maybe the next Tiger Woods in terms of dominance, because he's up 4 strokes in the second straight week. Well, another insane stat is he hasn't shot a round under par since the year 2023. I think that's still true. I haven't looked at his rounds this week, but when he won the Masters, it was true. And I know he shot 2 under the other day. So
you know a fun fact. That same fact was true for me up until yesterday.
You've never shot a round over
Can you
par?
believe that? I had not shot a round over par since 2023.
Did you play golf yesterday?
But I played golf for the first time in 2024 yesterday.
Hey, congratulations, man! That's pure dominance.
Yeah. There's always next year.
Well, that's gonna do it for this episode of episode 8 of the Almost Athletic podcast. Joseph, thanks for coming.
See you later.